Hi, my name is Rebecca Millard. This presentation is a part of my Capstone project at Grand Canyon University. It outlines my project that addresses feeling value within the operating room department. In this presentation, we will cover the topic of my Capstone project as guided by my preceptor. I will discuss the location and site information, project indicators, what steps I took to get started, the action plan, implementation, stakeholders, and the sustainment plan. After that, I will discuss some professional goals achieved in the American Organization of Nurse Leaders competencies that were worked on before going into a recap. Site information. I performed the following project at my clinical site with the preceptor. This site was Children's Mercy Hospital in Adele Hall in downtown Kansas City. This is a level 1 pediatric trauma center. My preceptor is Kaylee Brown, director of the operating room. The project was focused in the operating room and within the perioperative services. To get started, Kaylee and I sat down to discuss current projects that were on the to-do list and what was coming up. At this point, she had just received the viewpoint survey results the day prior and was wrestling with her mind with the results. I asked her what would be the most meaningful and helpful for her with all that she had on her plate, and she pointed me to the task of coming up with an action plan and further understanding the viewpoint survey results. This was timely and a realistic project to get started on. The viewpoint survey is an annual survey that is administered to employees at the organization to seek confidential feedback on engagement, cultures, psychological safety, well-being, safety, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Each department gets unit-specific results. The two main topics that came back with low scores were, do you feel valued, at 30% of respondents saying yes, and is there an environment which is optimistic, which scored at 35%. Department leaders were tasked by the chief nursing officer to come up with action plans to address low scores within their departments in regards to the results of the viewpoint surveys. So after picking a project topic, the next step was to find out more. With discussion with my preceptor, her biggest question was why the question, I feel valued, was low, but the question, I feel valued by my team, scored much higher. She wanted to know what the difference was and why there was such a variability between two very similar questions. We attended some online education sessions the hospital provided for leadership to understand these results that brought little to no insight to the questions we had. I decided we needed to find out from the department themselves what they considered value and try to depict what team meant. In the operating room, although the staff takes the exact same survey as the rest of the hospital, there are specific specialty teams that separate some of these results. Was this staff thinking team like specialty team, or was the team as a whole as the operating room? I sent out a survey and got results from a little bit more than a third of the staff eligible for the anonymous survey. Within the survey, I tried to figure out what team meant and what people want to feel valued. Here's the survey that I sent out. After allowing 2 weeks for staff to respond and a few email reminders, I received several responses totaling to approximately 1/3 of staff participation. Through the survey that I sent out with the Microsoft Forms, I was able to read through and analyze what I thought was helpful and relevant information from staff. One issue I ran into and predicted was that people feel value in a variety of ways, and each person is unique in this. There were few responses about money, but most responses revolved about being heard, recognized, acknowledged, and feeling respected. Everyone just wants to know that they matter. With personal experience and observation, there was a lot of recognition from the director, Kaylee, with overarching praise for the department as a whole, but individual and personalized recognition was less common. I began looking through several articles about increasing value and recognition for employees. The overarching theme was the same: make it personal and individualized. I also had the pleasure and opportunity to attend the National Magnet Conference this year, which had several presentations that aligned with helping staff feel valued, which gave further insight and ideas. After initial research and learning, I went to the staff themselves and asked around for ideas. Several people gave feedback from old departments, ideas that they would be willing to try, and they were happy to engage in discussion around the topic. This was a good sign to me that overall the staff felt like this was an important topic and to discuss and address. When I gathered all of my data and brainstormed ideas from a variety of sources, I decided it was time to get started with coming up with an action plan. I had several ideas outlined and presented these to Kaylee, my preceptor. Together, we highlighted 3 key ideas that we thought would target a variety of different people to show recognition in a variety of ways. The 3 action plan items decided on were easy access to award nominations, improve peer-to-peer recognition through notes and encouraging participation by incentivizing peers with a gift card or coffee shop to a coffee shop or Subway after receiving 5 recognition notes. And lastly, updating and utilizing a favorites thing form for each employee that would be kept in the lounge. The point of these forms is the peers have access to these so that they can recognize one another for different things. These can be used if someone helps cover a call shift, picks up a shift, has a hard day, or whatever the staff wants to use it for. This is an example of the QR code sheet. To make employee recognition awards easy to access, I decided to create pages with quick links and access to the nomination forms that employees can access by using their phones to scan when they're passing by. I wanted to make the pages pop with colors so that it did not get lost as another QR code. I worked to make this fun and easy to read. I included a page of definitions for reminders about what each award was for. I looked for feedback on this page while making it so others had input on it and ensured it was visually pleasing for staff. Give thanks cards. These cards are meant for people to give individual shout-outs. There's a lockbox by the front desk that is no longer in use that is being repurposed so that employees can leave notes for one another and help improve peer-to-peer recognition. This emphasizes, along with other initiatives, that recognition should be personal and specific. Recognizing one another also helps management to see the individual amazing things each person is doing. When we do not recognize one another, management will have a hard time knowing what each one of us is doing personally on a day-to-day basis in such a large department. After a person receives 5 of these shout-outs, they can turn them in to get a gift card to the coffee shop or Subway to help them drive participation. The Team Recognition Committee is taking ownership of this box, and it will go through it monthly at their meetings. This will allow a group of people to track usage and distribute the cards for staff while making adjustments to the initiative when necessary. The Favorite Things form lists basic information about things each person likes in a variety of categories. This lists allergies even. These forms can be used for gifts for people to say thank you, sorry, happy birthday, or whatever staff wants to use it for. Keeping these filled out and updated for the operating room while storing the binder in the lounge will allow staff to make recognition personalized and easy to access. To make sure this is done annually, the Wellbeing Ambassador will own the distribution of these forms on an annual basis. Implementation. After getting the action plan together, I gathered volunteers to help with the project implementation and sustainment. This is where the Wellbeing Ambassador and the Team Recognition Committee came into play. I recruited help with designing the page of the QR codes and asked for peer feedback on that as well. I gathered a plan in place before presenting the action plan to the staff during the staff meeting where the director, Kaylee, went over the viewpoint survey results and recapped on the progress the department has made. During my portion of the presentation, I presented these ideas and asked for feedback and other potential ideas. I had staff involvement in the discussion, and overall, peers seemed excited and positive to try out new recognition ideas. I asked for input on where to put the QR code pages, and each team decided to own theirs by their huddle boards through group discussion. Several members gave ideas for the card box or give thanks box as well, which indicated further staff buy-in. When presenting on Favorites Things binders, staff responded with gratefulness for making this accessible and updated. After the presentation is when I started putting each item into action. Stakeholders for this project are all the people that you've heard about throughout this presentation so far. Operating room nurse leadership, staff nurses, team recognition committee, and the well-being ambassador. There are several people that have a part in making this project a successful one, and it will take the whole team. The ideas were received positively by stakeholders, and I got good feedback and input from the ideas. Sustainment plan. By passing along the responsibility for maintaining some of these initiatives and involving staff in the process, I have set up the project to be sustainable long-term, even when I'm not there. By sharing responsibilities by various staff members, one person or group is not burdened with carrying the load to update projects regularly to ensure culture of recognition remains. This is a team effort, so when turnover inevitably happens, the goal is to maintain momentum on the staff recognition. Throughout this process, I used Cotter's 8-step change model. Creating a sense of urgency happened when the survey results came back and leadership recognized a problem. I then started discussing the topic with staff and gaining a sense of urgency that something should change. A coalition was built when getting support and feedback from both Kaylee and staff nurses that shared feedback with me. The strategic vision was formed and shared with the presentation of the ideas. Volunteers were enlisted to help with the implementation of the project initiatives. Barriers were removed by gaining support and using my own time to get the projects moving forward. Time is often a barrier for project implementation in this department. Short-term wins will come as the project was just put into action in January, and a sustainment plan is in place. But time will show if it is effective, and the goal is that it is followed by a full change. Throughout this project, I was able to help create and implement a unit-based project that targeted an overall department need. My preceptor gave me autonomy on this project and acted as a sounding board when I needed it. The AONL competencies I practiced throughout this project were focused in communication and relationship building category. Throughout the project, I was able to engage in effective communication, influenced behavior, and relationship management. I collaborated with people to implement a project based on relationships and building relationships. When I started this project, it was my instinct to want to jump straight to conclusions, and I had decided what the staff meant by scoring "I feel valued" low. In my head, I assumed what the results meant and started brainstorming actions without knowing the full picture. I had to force myself to ask deeper questions about the survey results and how to decipher them. This pushed me to send out another survey to gather more information and assess root causes. Employees tend to blame money and time for a lot of problems, but as a leader, it is my goal to overcome these barriers and look for other solutions to control what I can. Making recognition easier is one way to do so. This project helped me learn to start at the beginning, not skip steps. Each step matters, but it can slow progress down from what may seem like it should be an easy, simple fix. I may not have all the pieces. This has been a positive experience for myself and the staff in the operating room department. Thank you.